Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio. It's Wednesday, August 20th, and I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. We're 10 days away until BYU football kicks off the 2025 season against the Portland State Vikings. So much excitement. That game, of course, can be heard on KSL News Radio, 6 o'clock kickoff inside LES. Pregame begins at 4. The coverage begins at noon with myself on Cougar Sports Saturday. So we're inching closer to the start of the 2025 season. And there's so much excitement because Bear Bachmeier is officially announced as QB1 for the Cougars. And let's dive into it further with the top story.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
The top story continues to be Bear Bachmeier being named QB1. And yesterday, after practice, I caught up with BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake in a one-on-one interview to discuss Bear Bachmeier, this football team, as they're 10 days out until kickoff. But I started it out by asking, was there a moment in this quarterback race that you saw from Bear that ultimately separated him from McKay Hillstead and Trayson Bourget in this quarterback competition?
You know, Trayson and McKay made a really hard decision, and McKay especially. But you know, towards the end of it, we felt most comfortable, and with Bear leading the charge. And I think, like I mentioned it before, just settling it on the field. That's what we did, and so you know, we'll see how it goes. I am confident though that we have a number of quarterbacks that can help us win, and that's in the 4. I really feel good about all 4 of those guys, and whether it's Bear Bachmeier or McKay Hillstead or Trayson Bourget or Emerson Geilman. I mean, those guys can all do it, and don't count out Cole Hagan either. You know, so we have quarterbacks that can play, they can throw, they feel really comfortable. I just haven't had a quarterback with this limited amount of time in prep actually grasp the playbook so effortlessly with what Bear's done. So that's a huge compliment to him and his studying and his football IQ. And then also to, you know, you can't do it alone. So being able to do it with the other guys in the room, I've been really impressed with the way McKay and Trayson have opened up just their knowledge and helping everyone learn it. So that's a huge plus, especially nowadays. You don't see that very often.
When you talk about the playbook and Bear knowing that playbook, was the playbook maybe simplified for him, or is this like the full playbook? I mean, A-Rod was saying how he knows stuff that Jaron or Zach, I mean, how did he learn it so fast?
Well, I think it's just everybody just kind of putting time into it with him, and then him just grasping it. You had to give him a lot of credit for the study and the being able to apply it on the field quickly. And then I've never seen a person learn as much from others getting their reps too, as much as Bear has. So I don't think looking at what we did offensively, there's nothing about it that's pretty simple. I mean, you know, you have a lot of veterans that are still learning it. So I think that should have given the other guys, you know, kind of a leg up on the competition. But to their credit, they're really open with teaching it to Emerson and to Bear. So I'm really fortunate that we have, you know, unselfish people that will work with our team and compete, but also help their competitors. So that's a good sign. But this team first concept has been really good for us, and it's been good to have players that actually live by it and not just talk about it.
Does Bear give you the best chance to potentially reach a Big 12 championship? And did that factor into the thought process at all between you and A-Rod?
We actually feel good about all those guys giving us a chance to play for a championship. That's why they're here. You know, we just felt like he was the one that won the spot. I mean, that's. I told you guys before that we're going to settle it on the field, and we did. You know, so. But that's the interesting thing is usually someone separates himself. I felt like everyone was elevated in the whole process. So maybe we should have a QB competition every year because it makes everybody better. But I saw the best of that position group and saw them develop, and I still see them get better. I mean, even today, I thought all the quarterbacks had a really good day.
When you talk about it makes everyone better, I mean, some of your best teams, Kalani, have started with quarterback battles, and we could go through them, but what does this sort of dynamic bring out in teams during this time of the year that really maybe sets a good foundation going into a season?
Well, I think the team, there's a little bit of ownership on it when they know that, that Jake had left. And I think everyone knows that we're talking about who the quarterback is going to be. You can see the team and everybody rally around whoever that's going to be. Whether it was going to be Bear or McKay or Trayson, I think the team was going to rally around whoever the decision was going to be about. And what was interesting is they didn't rally around one person. They rallied around the whole position group. And the position group answered the call, and then everyone just played really high level, and now we're at where we're at. And I think I can't say it was just that one guy was that much better. It's just he won the spot, but that's not saying that these guys can't start at other places either. We love them here, and we need them here because it's a long season, and I think Bear needs them. Is this whole part of the process is that they've seen things that he hasn't, so. But I also don't think that you should just count on freshmen making mistakes. I know I've heard people say, well, freshmen are going to make mistakes. Yeah, but sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's not really about mistakes. It's how catastrophic are those, and can we rally back from them? And was it something that was out of pure selfishness, or was he actually trying to make a play that everybody can understand? So I think the team will rally around whatever it is, and I feel like the way he managed the games and the decisions that he made were ones that actually benefits the team overall. And so, and for a young freshman to figure that out and feel it, it's something special.
Who will be the 5 guys protecting Bear?
I think that's just kind of I really believe we have 8 guys that can do it. So we're just going to have to figure it out as we go through. Some guys are banged up too, and so we'll see how it goes into next week. Right now, it's hard to say. I think we have a feeling of guys that are going to be on the field, but we just have to kind of see what the health would be like for our team next week.
Going to the great thing about this quarterback situation with Bear is that he's on a team that there's a lot of talent around him, and the defense is going to be very complimentary in all this too. Are you as bullish on the defense as you were last year? They were the number 1 defense in the Big 12. How are they looking coming out of fall camp?
Yeah, I've been really happy with the way Jay's leading this defense, and the things that decisions that he's made with his staff. The major problem is that we have a bunch of playmakers, and they can't all be on the field at the same time. So they're going to have to make it count when they get on the field. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because there's a lot of stats to be made, and I think they're going to kind of share them. But we have a lot of guys that can play there, so it's just a matter of what's the best matchup, who's going to give us the best opportunity to make plays and get some big time plays, make some big time plays that can help change a game. But I think it's going to be leaning on guys like Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker first, and Keanu Tanavasa. Those are the guys we can count on, and then we kind of go branch out from there.
When will the team decide its captains for the year?
Yeah, I'll probably do that in the next couple of days, and then go with our captains, our co-captains, which will make up the leadership group, and then then away we go, man. I think this is when that happens. This is officially the end of camp. We're going to start focusing on prepping for next week, and so I think we're have Thursday, Friday, Saturday practices, and then start the game week practice next week. So it's really good things, and we were lucky we get to see our first 2 opponents on TV. So you get I think Portland State's playing Tarleton State, and then Stanford plays Hawaii. So those are good games to watch in week 0.
Last thing for you, Kalani, appreciate the time. Lavelle used to always say, I feel like you got a chance to be a pretty good football team. As camp now is done, let's keep it simple. Do you think this team's got a chance to be a pretty good football team?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. That's we don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. I mean, I love the boys. The game of football, from our part, I feel good about where we're at. But everybody's working hard, and you have to give a lot of respect to your opponents. My job is to make sure that we're playing at our best every week, and then we can try to do it 12 times. If we do that, I feel good about our opportunities after that of extending the season. If we don't do a good enough job, and I think we did an okay job of that last year, and that's my job. I got to find ways to motivate these guys so that they can be at their best. One way is to have the depth so that when injuries and things like that happen, we're able to get the best 11 out there, give us a chance to win. But it's every year is a different thing. I just feel good about the way these guys are. I feel good about mentality, the character, and the identity that the team's starting to come up with, and the leadership that we have in this group. So, I want to find out too, man. But I have a feeling that we might have a chance of being pretty good.
That's BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake. Appreciate the time Kalani carved out for me. And there was a moment there where I thought he was going to pull the line that he said in the Utah locker room. They don't know, but they about to find out. I was hoping Kalani was going to give us that. They don't know, but they about to find out. Again, I appreciate the time with Kalani Sitake as we're 10 days out until BYU kicks off the season against Portland State. Let's take a break. We'll get to more Cougar Tracks here on KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks as BYU football officially closed fall camp practices for the 2025 season. It was day 16 yesterday on Tuesday at camp, and I figured it'd be a good opportunity to share some observations. I know that the big storyline, of course, yesterday was Bear Bachmeier officially being named quarterback one, but of course, as you know me here on Cougar Tracks, we go deep in the weeds. We go next level with the content here on the program. And I wanted to give some observations that I saw from practice on day 16. We got about 20 minutes or so. You could tell it was, nearing the end of camp, and the guys were probably ready to be done and move on to prep for Portland State. But still, I thought there were some good observations because I would expect, barring some unforeseen deal in season, if BYU's listening, I hope they change this, but Tuesday was the last time we see practice, really, until a bowl game. We don't see practices during the regular season at all. So Tuesday was the last chance we got to see any sort of practice. And here were some of my observations from practice on Tuesday. And I think obviously with Bear Bachmeier, he caught my attention, of course, obviously with the quarterback one spot, and looked pretty good. His first big play from camp was on Tuesday was a play that he kind of had a ball that was floated downfield to Cody Hagan. It did result in a big gain, but it was kind of a floater a little bit, but it did result in some big yardage for BYU. Bear also had a quick screen over the middle to his brother Tiger for what was a minimal gain. What also caught my attention from Tuesday on the defensive side, Trey Alexander and Evan Johnson initially were with the first team defense at cornerback, and then it was Maury Bamba and Evan Johnson. I'm curious to see, who that starting unit is. It could be a situation too where maybe it's the final snap counts tell us the story of who's actually playing more. Maury Bamba is going to be that number one guy. Then it, to me, becomes a conversation between Evan Johnson and Trey Alexander. Evan Johnson's looked really good, Shmeev, and then Trey Alexander as well. As you heard from General Guilford on this show, was a little bit banged up midway through camp, but he looks ready to go, looks great. I think both of those guys are in a really good place, and I'm really excited to see what they do this season. It was also fun, too. I always enjoy kind of listening to the music that's playing to kind of set the mood. One, because I like to add it to my, playlist. I have a BYU football practice playlist that I've had since the 2016 season where I'll Shazam a song and then I add it to my playlist to kind of get a vibe of what the feeling, the music is like at practices. And on Tuesday, it was, I put on for my city, on for my city. And then there was also, yeah, what you mean? Yeah. I just had to add that little tidbit. Some other notes on the defensive side. A third-team linebacker unit, which pretty talented. Naki Tuakoi, Pearson Watson, and Cepha Brown. Cepha Brown getting a little bit of run at linebacker. There's a little bit of cross-training, of course. You go maybe that edge spot, linebacker. They can utilize these guys in a lot of different ways. But that kind of caught my attention. And then Pearson Watson, my goodness. He had a violent hit that was, I thought, awesome. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. I was like, yes, let's go. Pearson Watson's going to be a baller. I cannot wait to see him down the road in his BYU career. But I thought that was a big-time hit that he had from the linebacker spot. I'd be curious what the coaches thought because, again, it's near the end of fall camp. The context, were they upset? I don't know. But I thought that hit was, from my vantage point, I thought it was awesome. It's football, man. As Kalani likes to say, you got to spar. You got to battle. Tavion Beasley, he's playing that nickel spot along with Jonathan Cabella. He had a pass interference on Trey Roberts. Chase Roberts' brother, he's an interesting player to me. I think that he's going to be someone worth investing in down the road. Like, we could see him emerge one day as a player that becomes, well, I shouldn't say scholarship, because honestly, if you make the roster these days in the rev share era, you've got resources behind you. But when you do eventually get to that 105 cap, and it's a hard 105, I think Trey Roberts is one to invest in and have him around in the program. I think he's done a nice job. Utah State linebacker transfer Max Alford. This was a good little tidbit. He was getting some first-team snaps at linebacker. The Utah State transfer has made some nice leaps over the course of camp. He's got good size, 6'1", 230 pounds. He's probably going to play that MAC linebacker position for BYU. But Max Alford, one to watch. Again, I think those top linebackers, you know who they are. Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, Sialia Sarah, Che Bryant Strother is probably 3B, 3A, whatever you want to slice it between him and Sarah. Then you've got Ace Kafusi, who's had an excellent camp. Maybe that sixth guy could be Max Alford, potentially. We shall see. Viliami Puha, he was rotating inside along Keanu Tanavasa at defensive tackle, and Kalani talked about that earlier in camp, that they have that flexibility to go from Bodie Schoonover and Viliami Puha to go into the inside when they go to that cowboy front. So Viliami was getting a little bit of that run. With the quarterbacks, we saw Trayson Bourget with what appeared to be the third-team offensive line. He had a good ball over the middle to Dominique McKenzie in practice. And I bring that up because Trayson Bourget, of course, is going to be competing to be that number 2 guy. I would think that McKay Hillstead would be that number 2, but Aaron Roderick kind of left that open-ended as far as who's going to be the backup quarterback behind Bear Bachmeier, who had a solid day of practice. And Bear, as you see in these clips, he had a GoPro attached to his helmet, and he was throwing the rock. And I'm sure there'll be some content that's created from BYU's creative team with that, or maybe it's something that BYU staff is utilizing for film breakdown. We shall see. I'll be curious to what type of content is used for that if it ever sees the light of day, with that GoPro being attached to Bear Bachmeier's helmet in practice on Tuesday. Didn't see Waylon Lapuaho along the offensive line. And Kalani in our one-on-one conversation said some of those offensive linemen are a little bit banged up. Does that fall under Waylon? He's been kind of hit and miss as far as availability in camp. He did play a little bit. I think it was week 2, but his workload has been pretty light, and that's fine. Waylon is a guy that you want to have ready for the battles in the season, but Waylon, to me, is the best offensive lineman on that 5, and you just kind of reshuffle the deck a little bit. If he was maybe absent at all, if you needed a little bit extra time to recover and get fully healthy, that'll be something to monitor heading into game week with Portland State next week. And then Anisi Purcell, he was also getting some valuable snaps at D-tackle with occasionally the first team, but also the second team as well. Seen some good things from Anisi Purcell in that D-tackle unit. I would think he's probably that number 3 guy after Keanu, JT, and then Purcell, and then, of course, Puha and Bodie Schoonover. Shea Bryant-Strother, who I noted earlier, he got a pressure on Bear in Tuesday's practice after Bear kind of held on to the ball too long. I love what I'm seeing from Shea Bryant-Strother. I thought it would just be kind of a foregone conclusion that Sialia Serra is the Mike linebacker, and I still think he probably is the first starter. But Shea Bryant-Strother is going to play a lot. Like, there's going to be rotation there, and you heard from Kalani, we've got too many playmakers on the defense. We being BYU from Kalani's perspective, they noted that guys got to make the most of their opportunities when they do get those chances to play. And I think the playmakers kind of tie in at linebacker, where Acera, Shea Bryant-Strother, got to make the most of your opportunities when you're on the field. But I would expect that both those guys are going to rotate. Bear had an excellent pass to Carson Ryan on Tuesday's practice, and you can see some of these clips with the passes. I love the work from JoJo Phillips in camp. I think he's doing a great job. At a minimum, he's going to be a consistent wide receiver 3. I've loved Cody Hagan in camp. JoJo Phillips, though, I love the reverse Grinch cleats. It's probably one of the rare times you're going to see red worn at a BYU practice by a BYU player, but it was aura, man. I'm all about the aura. And as you see JoJo flying downfield after a pitch and catch from Bear in the play, that was the deep ball too, by the way, to Cody Hagan. A little bit of a floater. Cody Hagan jumped up and went and got the thing, but I like how this receiver unit is coming along. Tiger Bachmeier clearly in the mix as well. So that's some of the practice notes from Tuesday. Another one was a touchdown pass, as you saw right there, from Emerson Geilman to Dominic McKenzie. And Emerson Geilman, I think, has been a nice story in camp. Like, it's a deep cut story. He's not in the top 3, I would think. But I'll tell you what, Emerson Geilman, if you ever had a doomsday season with the quarterback unit and you're having to go deep into that unit, Emerson Geilman's shown you some things, I think, in camp. I think he's looked really good. The true freshman out of Bountiful High School, I thought he's had a nice camp to where after he's done serving his mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he deserves a spot in BYU's quarterback unit in the future. I think Geilman has great instincts, great touch. I love his intermediate throws, the pace. I mean, he just throws a good ball, and he's got good size too. What was cool, though, after, all the hoopla about BYU announcing Bear Bachmeier as QB1, A-Rod formally told the quarterbacks yesterday before practice that Bear would be QB1. So you would think that, like any program, QB1 dominates the headlines, but true to BYU form, and I think the uniqueness of BYU, there was also another announcement with Emerson Geilman, and he discussed with his teammates his mission call. This was a pretty cool moment from Emerson Geilman after practice on Tuesday.
The commandments, maintain the highest standards of conduct, and follow the righteous counsel of your mission president. As you devote your time and attention to serving the Lord, leaving behind all other personal affairs, you will be blessed with increased knowledge and testimony of Jesus Christ and his restored gospel. Your purpose will be to invite others to come unto Christ by helping them receive the restored gospel through faith in Jesus Christ and his atonement. Repentance, baptism, receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost, and enduring to the end. As you serve with all your heart, might, mind, and strength, the Lord will lead you to those who will hear his message. They too can have the opportunity to receive sacred ordinances and make covenants with Heavenly Father. You are assigned to labor in the Brazil, Sao Paulo.
How about that? Cool moment there for Emerson Geilman with his teammates. He's going to be serving in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So congrats to Emerson. And I think, again, BYU should hold a roster spot for Emerson in 2028 when he goes on and serves his mission. But when he comes back, save a spot for Emerson because I thought he was a nice storyline during fall camp this season. Let's take our final timeout. On the other side, we'll hear from Aaron Roderick as he discussed, the decisions with going to Bear Bachmeier and also how this offense is going to look with Bear Bachmeier as QB1. This is Cougar Tracks on KSL Sports YouTube and KSL News Radio. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL News Radio and KSL Sports YouTube. If you've missed the announcement, every single day, Cougar Tracks is available on the KSL Sports YouTube page, KSL News Radio, and on demand on video, YouTube, and also audio. Typical podcast feed, wherever you get your podcast, that is available to subscribe and download. And if you could, subscribe to the show. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. It would help out the show a ton. We got to keep growing this thing. We've had some great success and early returns in this first couple days, but let's keep building the momentum as we get closer to the BYU football season. 10 days away until the Cougars kick it off against Portland State, 6:00 kick here on KSL News Radio. And everyone's going to wonder, what will this offense look like with Bear Bachmeier as the QB? I know I'm wondering. I've seen glimpses. I've seen more than most when it comes to fall camp practices and seeing the glimpses of this team. And I look at this group, and I think that there's a lot of potential for this BYU team to have a lot of success this season. And I think that one of the big questions that I have about this BYU team is, what's the ceiling with this group with Bear Bachmeier as quarterback one? But I do believe that BYU feels like they can definitely win with Bear Bachmeier as its quarterback. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see how this plays out this season. This was Aaron Roderick discussing what the offense is going to look like with Bear Bachmeier as the quarterback.
Well, our style of play won't be conservative. We'll grow. He knows the whole playbook already. I mean, he can run anything Jaron Hall or Zach Wilson or Jake Retzloff did since I've been here. He's capable of doing any of that. We will start out the season. We're not going to throw everything out there the first game. You never do that anyway, just for your opponents. You have to save things as the year goes on. But we're not going out there to be conservative at all. We want to attack and throw the ball out.
Love that. I think BYU should not be a conservative team. Stay true to your identity. If you believe Bear Bachmeier is the best fit for this team in QB1, be true to the offense. Be aggressive. Take shots downfield. I just think that, and I asked A-Rod that question in the media availability because typically with true freshman quarterback, you're going to be a little more conservative. You're going to be a little more hesitant. You're going to be more kind of careful with things. Think back to 2018 when BYU was getting the offense off the ground with A-Rod and Jeff Grimes back then. They were very conservative with Tanner Mangum. They were conservative at times with Zach Wilson. Like, you just there's a little bit of a filling out process. Even last year with Jake Retzloff, you go to that SMU game, they were trying to get LJ Martin going and run the football against SMU, but then he suffered an injury and they had to pivot in game. So I think there's inherently this thought just to kind of shrink the football game, make it a little bit quicker for everyone involved, get in, get out, stay healthy, and move on to the next game. Like, I just don't look at this offense being some massive juggernaut statistically this year and putting up massive numbers of points. I think there's going to be some games where you're going to have to win maybe with 21 points, 24 points. And the nice thing is that you got a defense that can make that happen. But I enjoyed that commentary from Aaron Roderick that they will stay true to their identity. And how about that tidbit that, he believes Bear Bachmeier can run things to the level that Jaron Hall, Jake Retzloff, and Zach Wilson did. How about that? If that's the case, BYU is back in the quarterback business, baby. They will be in a great position this season if he comes anywhere close to the level of a Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall. He just would. I mean, if Bear Bachmeier is anywhere close to those guys, BYU could go to Arlington. That's, to me, not unreasonable if he becomes Wilson, Jaron Hall, the best versions of them, and he's anywhere close to that. That's on the table. This schedule is manageable. It's tough. It's incredibly tough. It's going to be week in, week out grind in the Big 12, but if quarterback play catches fire with Bear and he stays healthy, why not? Let's see it happen. That's going to do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. I hope all of you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a ton. I will talk to you tomorrow here on Cougar Tracks, and it's powered by KSL Sports and here on KSL News Radio.